Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Mountain Vista UU. It's so lovely to see you all here on this beautiful, beautiful, if kind of warm, Sunday morning.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to all of you here at Mountain Vista UU congregation, where we rest and share the desert of what was, is, and always will be the home of the O'odham and Yaqui people. We acknowledge as a way to reflect our actively seeking to develop relationships of justice, equity, and trust with all who feel kinship to this place called Sonoran Desert. My name is Samar Adi, and I am one of the practice associates helping with today's service, which is led by our settled minister, Reverend Matthew Funkreri, as well as the talents of MVU's staff, which includes Chris, our music director, Stacy, our RE coordinator, Tay, our engagement coordinator, and Stephanie, our administrator. Our professional staff provides the structure needed to do all that we do. In addition, we have the many volunteers who go into putting a service. Robin is our Zoom host, Lee, Vincensky, and Todd as our AV crew. Thank you. We, of course, have our greeting and hospitality, so please don't forget to join us for coffee and refreshments afterwards, as well as the volunteers in RE who help Stacy in taking care of our youth. The time and talents of all of you are appreciated. Our services are not just attended by those of you here in person, but also virtually. And some will be watching this in real time, and some will be watching this at a later time. And so you are all welcome. And if we can, let's please turn around and wave at our folks attending virtually. Back in March, when we were reflecting on generosity, I spoke about how generosity isn't transactional. As an act of kindness, it comes with no strings, and you honor the gift by paying it forward. This is reciprocation, freely giving and mutually exchanging care and effort in a balanced way without keeping score. It helps foster connections between people and communities and contributes to a sense of trust. So I'm going to talk about my husband, who's here today. When my husband and I were in our early years of our relationship, my mother sat him down and talked to him about the importance of offering to pay for dinner. So in Lebanese culture and Arab culture, when you go out to eat, the different parties come close to really fighting over the right and privilege of who gets to pay. And so hospitality tradition is really strong in Lebanon, and being able to provide a meal demonstrates friendship, sharing that bread and salt. It strengthens social bonds and shows generosity. You want to give. Having grown up with it, it was interesting to hear her break down a tradition that felt really automatic to me. It's like, oh, okay. And so how you have to offer to pay at least 3 times, and only then after the 3rd time, if they say no, that you might accept that. But you do make a mental note that, hey, I need to grab it the next time. But no one's keeping tabs on it. It's an honor to give, and therefore wanting to reciprocate in order to show how important those relationships are. And so the system works because that trust in that reciprocity. This whole month, we've been exploring cryptids and what they have to teach us. That sense of wonder, sparking curiosity and play, inspiring stories, even Bigfoot teaching us about reciprocity in relationships. So for me, the imagery of Bigfoot evokes wild forests, mysteries of nature that haven't yet been discovered. It reminds me of how much we still don't know about our natural world and our interdependence with it, of the gifts given to us, and therefore the responsibilities we have to return that generosity. So as we explore that today, welcome, welcome, and we explore our relationships and our interconnectedness. Thank you. As I metaphorically transition to the next section, today's chalice lighting is Out of the Flames by Reverend Sarah Eileen Lawal. Out of the flames of fear, we rise with courage of our deepest convictions to stand for justice, inclusion, and peace. Out of the flames of scrutiny, we rise to proclaim our faith with hope to heal a fractured and hurting world. Out of the flames of doubt, we rise to embrace the mystery, wonder, and awe of all there is and all that is yet to be. Out of the flames of hate, we rise with the force of love, love that celebrates our shared humanity. Out of the flames, we rise.
Well, good morning. Our opening hymn today is number 203, All Creatures of the Earth and Sky. And those of you who have been keeping score, yes, we are singing that every Sunday this month. Please rise in body or in spirit and join your voices together. The words will be on the screens. Thank you. Please be seated. I invite you now to a time of contemplation, of considering and of pondering, taking back your soul. Do you ever mishear lyrics? Not only do I often mishear lyrics, but sometimes I don't correct my mistake, and so I am liable to sing the incorrect lyrics. Like this: then I saw her face, now I'm gonna leave her. That is not what the Monkees sang in their 1966 hit, I'm a Believer. How about this? See that girl, watch her scream, kicking the dancing queen. No. ABBA did not sing that in their disco mainstay, Dancing Queen. I have one more. The Rolling Stones did not make a culinary promise. I'll never leave your pizza burning in Beast of Burden. But as you've heard, I sometimes will sing those lyrics. It's not intentional, not really, and I promise I am getting my hearing checked. And so it's not really surprising that back in May of this year, when we held that day-long workshop with Safety Dave, learning what we would do if, under the most remote odds, we were here under a violent threat in our church house, it's not surprising that I misheard him. Safety Dave had been teaching us that under the threat of personal, physical violence, create chaos, throw things, move around frantically, shout, and make noise. Instead of teaching us to arm ourselves or our children, instead of turning us into soldiers or returning violence for violence, an eye for an eye, we were to act in ways not unlike children playing, as that is actually proven to increase everyone's chance of survival when in circumstances of violence. And this is your means, he said, to take back control. But that's not what I heard. What I heard was, this is your means to take back your soul. We live in an ultra-violent world. We are assaulted with images of violence 24/7 from our entertainment to our newsfeed. And these put Sylvester Stallone's Rambo to shame. And yet that's all part of our culture, as our increasing calls for more violence. It's real, and it can be traumatizing. It is real. It's what's happening in the world around us, which is both overwhelming and makes us feel out of control. But what if, in the face of this indirect violence, which still deeply hurts and wounds us, what if we had the means to take back our souls? It was over 10 years ago that I first visited MVUU as a guest preacher. And someone, and I can't recall exactly who it is, so it might be you, asked me, "What do you mean by soul?" Now, at the time, my response was, "Well, I mean whatever you mean by it." But I've refined it a little since then. Soul is more than the sum of your parts: mind, body, heart, and spirit. Soul is your wholeness that helps us to make meaning and purpose of our lives. Another way to say soul might be you, your absolute, unique, and astonishingly beautiful humanity. And somewhere in those refined definitions, you might find what you mean by soul. And since that guest preaching among you, I've also had a few of my own harrowing experiences as a Unitarian Universalist minister that has deepened my belief in soul. And each experience has taught me that I am not willing to give it up. In the face of intimidation and hate and threats and, yes, violence, I've been shocked. I've been afraid. I've been angry. I've been exhausted. I've been grieving and even confused. But I have never willingly given away my soul. In the heat of those separate situations, I've discovered that I refuse to acquiesce my humanity, to surrender my wholeness, to allow someone else to steal from me that part of my being, some that is more than all the parts. And of course, that wasn't what Safety Dave was talking about at all. He was talking about confronting violence. He was talking about taking back control over a physical situation in order to survive. But I'm really glad that I misheard him, because it reminded me that we talk, and more significantly, we live into, as a secular faith community, the saving of our souls. Inundated by constant violence in our society, in our world, we gather here to find the means to take back control, not just to survive, but to thrive. Think of that. With all that is going on now, violence, the call for more of it can make you lose your head, break your heart, bend your body. It can crush your spirit. I know. But we come together here to connect and to commit and to covenant, to put ourselves back together again and to thrive and thrive and thrive. Bob Dylan did not sing, "The ants are my friends," in Blowing in the Wind. He sang, "The answer, my friends, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind." But our answer is not as intangible as all of that. The answer, my friends, is here in our secular faith community. Here together, in the challenging and beautiful reality of this community when we gather to take back our souls.
I'm really excited to be reading this today. Reverend Nancy McDonald Ladd was my first UU minister at Bull Run UU in Manassas, Virginia. And so let it be known by Reverend Nancy McDonald Ladd. Let it be known that when the world was shrouded in sorrow, good people got together and debated the bylaws. Let it be known that when the seeds of the new world germinated, they did so out of season and under the surface, when most of us were too busy flailing too loudly to sense their stirring. Let it be known that the world as it is has always been the water, we the fish, swimming restlessly, trying to summon up a landscape beyond the bowl in which we might survive our freedom together. Let it be known that in this moment we were tired from the swimming and the long labor of our imagining. And let it be known that even so, though we were too busy and too afraid, the seeds still stirred, in the wild hearts and jagged places of the weary world. And we found the courage to tell stories bigger than the boundaries we laid out for ourselves, which dictated the narrow circumference of our dreaming. Thank you.
invite you to rise as you're willing and able and join your voices together in number 128, For All That Is Our Life.
I feel very strongly that we should sing one thing, though, before we get to the hymn. It breaks a little things, but for those of you who've been around and known Evelyn for a while, I think it's criminal that we don't sing for you.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Evelyn. Happy birthday to you.
For somebody who over the years has been so involved with the music here and with singing and with everything here, a very joyous and wonderful happy birthday. Good Lord, 90. Now let's sing the one we were going to sing.
All right, thank you. All that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift, which we are called to use, to build a common good, and make our own days glad. Each other serve, for services we give, for work and its rewards, for hours of rest and love, we come with praise and thanks. For all that is our life. For sorrows we must bear, for failures, pain, and loss, for each new thing we learn, for fearful hours that pass, we come with praise and thanks. For all that is our life. For all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift, which we were called to use, to build a common good, and make our own days glad. Please be seated. I invite you to a brief, all too brief moment of meditation. Brief in the span of our weeks and our lives and in our service this morning. Breathe as your body requires. Feel your body in your chair, your feet on the floor, clothes as your decoration. In that space that you occupy, welcome your dignity. As you breathe, become aware of those around you. A community of people. And be aware then of the breadth of that community of which you are a part of, and rest in that community. And with the voices of children, coming over the walls and into our sanctuary. Breathe in your kinship. All the ancestors past, behind you, all the future kin, whether they are your children or they are ours. The future kin, breathe in kinship. Dignity, community, kinship. Breathe and know you are home. I had a wonderful talk this morning with Luke. He saw the picture of Bigfoot in the foyer, in the Covenant Hall. He said, that's not real. I said, maybe in prehistory, and then had a wonderful scientific explanation of the whole thing. I had to tell him that I've never seen or met Bigfoot, but I do hope to someday. Not that I'm a believer, because I'm not, but because Bigfoot offers a gift, the gift of reciprocity, of taking what you need and giving what you can. And I would love to be in that relationship. I do know how that sounds. I do. I don't believe in something, and yet I want to receive a gift from it. And that reminds me a lot of our secular faith tradition of Unitarian Universalism. We all too often, we want something, but we refuse to believe that it actually exists. Now, I know what many people say, that we are a faith where you don't have to leave your mind at the door. And while we do absolutely 100% welcome science and reason like Luke does on Sundays, science and reason tells us that along with our brain must come the rest of our being. Justice William Douglas on the bench, starting in 1938, is considered to have been the most liberal justice ever serving on the U.S. Supreme Court. He was recognized as an ornery genius and beloved for his stance on the environment, on gay rights before Stonewall. And he once singularly issued a court order for the troops to stand down during the Vietnam War. And the rest of the justices convened and took that away. He's quite an impressive person. Justice Douglas once reflected, at the constitutional level where we work, 90% of any decision is emotional. And the rational part of us supplies the reasons for supporting our predilections. 90% is emotional. And while that explains a lot about recent Supreme Court decisions, I would rather the split was calculated a little differently. I would love 25, 25, 25, 25 as a physiological necessity for our minds and our hearts and our bodies and our spirits. We don't leave our brains at the door, but we do come with a hunger more than just knowing. We come for a hunger of healing and feeling and willing ourselves to act. And Bigfoot, and I've not forgotten about Bigfoot, offers us a gift that invites us to receive all of that and give back. Of all of the cryptids, those mysterious creatures which have yet to be proven to exist, Bigfoot is one of the most tangible. There's a lot of evidence for Bigfoot existing in the world. Plaster casts made of tracks begin at 18 inches long and go up from there. And the 1967 Preston Gremlin film, here enhanced and put on a loop with recent technology, it seems to actually show the creature striding through a riverbed in Northern California. Most encounters with Bigfoot speak of gentle giants in the backcountry of America, creatures both wild and human. Many of these reflect tales from ancient Europe, stories of giants and the wild ones of the woods. These were brought here by white colonists and the waves of generations that followed them, but they echoed what was already in cultures right here. For example, the Nez Perce of the Pacific Northwest speak of Sasquatches, or Sasquatch as the name has been anglicized. Tilly Moody, an artist of the Confederated Tribes of Warm Springs, says, a lot of times when we do have encounters with Sasquatch and Bigfoot, it's when we're huckleberry picking in the mountains in very remote areas. She and other artists are sharing their cultural wisdom of Sasquatch in a current art exhibit, Sensing Sasquatch, at the High Desert Museum in Bend, Oregon. For these indigenous artists, Sasquatch is a protector of the natural world. It's not a cryptid. It's there to remind humans to be respectful with nature and to be in deep relationship with it. There are many other similar stories from around the world. In fact, Bigfoot and all these other variations have so many other names. They have more names than any other fantastic creature. There's some on almost every continent, from the most distant regions, from the Yeti to the far Himalayas to the swamp ape in American South to the Mogollon monster here in Arizona, to name just a few. Unfortunately, the confluence of these cultures around this one creature often leads to a monster mashup that commodifies cultural traditions and loses all of the meaning. In a market economy of our society, there is absolutely nothing wrong with this, where everything is ripe for the picking to monetize. In our dominant white culture, it teaches us this is how we're supposed to survive. We are to commodify the natural world as a resource to use up. We are to commodify our cultures to achieve fortune and fame. We're to commodify ourselves, selling our bodies, our minds, our hearts, and our spirits 25, 25, 25, 25. Market economies are based on scarcity, on numbers that must grow, always improve, and get better. And that doesn't create survival. Instead, it uses up the world. It distances us from our actual culture and real wisdom. It displaces us from our lives until it's gone. Robin Wall Kimmerer, a wise woman and ethnobotanist and an elder and citizen of the Potawatomi Nation, teaches we've surrendered our values to an economic system that actively harms what we love. I'm wondering how we fix that. And I'm not alone, she says. As an ethnobotanist, bridging cultural knowledge and scientific study, she observes that the more names that a plant has, the more important it is to a culture. And so, in a similar fashion, this giant creature that's half nature, half human, is more important than any t-shirt, more meaningful than being a cryptid. It's an invitation beyond market and selling ourselves short. Bigfoot and Sasquatch, Yucca-Man, Sand Squatch, they're boundary crossers. Part of the wilderness, part of the culture, part of us. And it always invites us generously to join it. Its existence reminds us that we too can stride across the boundaries, that we do not have to be this or that, one thing or another exclusively. We can be a religion that's both secular and faith-filled. And it applies to all imposed boundaries of our white dominant culture. This, our tally of 25, 25, 25, 25, it means that it can sum up to 200 or 300 or 400. It can be far more than the sum of all of the parts. It's a way for us to witness our own wholeness, our souls. Instead of any limitation, this big-footed natural protector invites us to abundance, to a way of living well beyond surviving. Bigfoot's about thriving. I think Bigfoot's swag that you've seen is fun and it's cool, but that's because it leads me into a relationship of thanks and of reciprocity. And here, Robin Wall Kimmerer speaks again. Gratitude and reciprocity are the currency of a gift economy, and they have been a remarkable property of multiplying with every exchange, all energy concentrating as it passes from hand to hand to hand as a truly renewable resource. I mean, can you imagine meeting a being who offered you that invitation? In my imagination, it goes something like this. I'm out at dusk, returning from a day of hiking, quietly singing some misheard lyrics to myself, wearing I Want to Believe t-shirt, and I'd look up and be startled with the presence of something nearby. Is it a bear? No. No, it's a little bigger, far more human. It's a Bigfoot, and it's looking at me. Thank you, I imagine that I would whisper. Thank you for completely blowing my mind. Thank you for inviting me into a relationship beyond what I know and what I calculate every day to one of greater than the sum of all the parts. Such moments, well, they don't have to rest in our imagination. They can be real. Whenever we recognize our relationship to culture and to nature and even to one another, again, Robin Wall Kimmerer, gratitude is the thread that connects us in deep relationship, simultaneously physical and spiritual, as our bodies are fed and spirits nourished by a sense of belonging, which is the most vital of all foods. It's the same generosity that this wise woman spoke to us today in her welcome. She said, generosity is an act of kindness. It comes with no strings, and you honor it by paying it forward. Dorothy, thank you. By paying it forward. This reciprocation, freely giving and mutually exchanged care and effort, is balanced in a way without keeping score. Thank you. Instead of using up the resources, reciprocation invites us to take only what we need and give back all we can. It's a genuine relationship. It brings us back to our beautiful blue-green earth, taking only what we need, giving back all that we can to other cultures, to the arts, grateful for their sharing in other ways of knowing, take only what we need and give back what we can to each other, to ourselves. And so seeking to establish and grow my relationships in this reciprocation, I've made a donation to the High Desert Museum in Bend, Oregon. It's a token. It's not a genuine relationship, but it's a start. It's simple gratitude for that gift of wisdom and meaning that they have passed on to me through their artists, and I am sharing with you. That's not a full relationship. That's something I have to continue to imagine, to establish and grow and pay forward that wisdom and meaning that I've been given forward into the relationships of intentional joy and kinship and, of course, reciprocity. So if you meet Bigfoot on your way, or if you meet any of those culturally diverse and rich echoes. Know that you are being invited into a much bigger, more abundant life, 200%, 300% of what you are. And then give the gift of thanks and give back all you can. As I have been taught, amen, aho, may it be so, as we make it so with our lives. Our closing song is a song of thanks and praise and giving back. Number 163, For the Earth Forever Turning. I invite you to rise in body or spirit and join your voices. Sun, the rain, and thunder, for the seasons harmony, for our lives, for all creation, sing we our joyful praise to thee. For the world we raise our voices, for the home that gives us birth. In our joy we sing, returning home to our
Yesterday, after we watched the movie Where the Olive Trees Weep, one of the questions was, how do we witness? And I thought of that today as everyone came up and named their joys and sorrows, and how do we witness? And so I want to say thank you so much for all of you who came, all of you who didn't speak, and all of you who spoke, for allowing me this chance. I appreciate you so much. As you leave our sanctuary today to share in refreshments and fellowship, you will see a wooden bowl and a woven basket. The wooden bowl is for your financial contribution to our congregation, and the woven basket is for our monthly justice partner. And so this month, we partner with You the Vote, a program of the Side with Love campaign. You the Vote is active in Arizona right now. They are supporting efforts to get reproductive justice on the ballot and to turn out as many voters as possible in support of our democracy. So all your gifts are gratefully received. So through July 5th, from July 5th through August 11th, our UU kids are flexing their muscles at making a difference in the lives of the animals at the Humane Society. As they lead us, we are collecting supplies and money to take to the shelter to make the animals stay there easier. And so the list and drop-off are at the Covenant Hall, our foyer. You'll see if the list of supplies. We hope you'll help. And then for the next piece, I believe Tay is coming up. Tay is our engagement coordinator. We'll come to the pulpit, and I'll give you this.
Hi, I'm Tay. I'm the new engagement coordinator. When I started here, it was important to me to understand where the congregation is at the start of my role so that I can figure out where the needs lie, where some of our wants are, maybe that aren't necessarily needs, so that we can engage, love, and transform better than we are currently. So if you could, please take the survey. It'll be up until August 1st. You should be able to access it through the link that's in the newsletter as well. Thank you.
On August 11th, following the service, we will be holding a hybrid training for safety at rallies, protests, and parades and marches. And so members, friends, MVU professional staff, and Reverend Matthew will be gathering here at 1 p.m. on Sunday, August 11th, in person and online, for a training for us to better engage, love, and transform the future. The training will be led by Ray Strozo, who is a local artist and an experienced activist. Ray has been teaching about showing up to public events to bring engaged, loving, and transformative actions for several years now. We'll be serving pizza at MVU and sending Zoom access to all who wish to join remotely. So you must RSVP directly to Reverend Matthew, so please do so. This is just one opportunity for MVU to learn how to better engage, love, and transform the future. Look for more opportunities on our 2024-25 church year unfolds. Next piece is our Climate Justice Revival. MVU is a sponsor of the Side with Love's first ever Climate Justice Revival. We will receive a packet of information on August 1st with Sunday service materials and topics for discussion groups and workshops that we will lead here at MVU on the last weekend in September and I believe the first weekend of October. So Vince Pavlovsky has agreed to co-lead this effort, but we're looking for someone to join him who loves our blue-green hills of earth as much as he does. So please talk to Vince if you are interested. I did see him, and so he is somewhere here. I think that's it. And that's it for announcements. So today's closing, Releasing the Flame, is A Power at Work in the Universe by Reverend Tom Shaddy. My friends, there is a power at work in the universe. It works through human hands, but it was not made by human hands. It is a creative, sustaining, and transforming power, and we can trust that power with our lives and with our ministries. It will sustain us whenever we take a stand on the side of love, whenever we take a stand for peace and justice, whenever we take a risk. Trust in that power. We are together, held by that power. Thank you.
When Matthew said he was going to talk about Bigfoot, there was one song that came up that I thought, well, I kind of have to do. Mostly because it's pretty high on the list of songs I never thought I would play in church. And so while I was at it, I picked a song by the same composer for Prelude and Interlude today. It was the Jitterbug Waltz by Thomas Waller, American composer. But even his mama called him Fats. What's that running around out there? Up in Harlem, at a table for two, there were four of us, me, your big feet, and you. From your ankle up, I'd say you sure are sweet. But from there down, there's just too much feet. Your feet's too big. Don't want you 'cause your feet's too big. Mad at you 'cause your feet's too big. I really hate you 'cause your feet's too big. La-di-da-da, la-di-da-da, where'd you get 'em? La-di-da-da, your girl, she tells me she likes you. She says you're nice. She says you got what it takes to take her to paradise. She likes your face. She likes your rig, but look at 'em, son. They're just too darn big. Oh, your feet's too big. Don't want you 'cause your feet's too big. Mad at you 'cause your feet's too big. I really hate you 'cause your feet's too big. Your pedal extremities are colossal. But to me, you look just like some old fossil. You got me walking and talking and squawking 'cause your feet's too big. Can't go nowhere with you 'cause your feet's too big. Can't get into bed with you 'cause your feet's too big. Look at them spreading all across the floor. When you go and die, ain't nobody gonna sob. The undertaker's gonna have quite a job. You're gonna look funny when they lay you in that casket. Look at them big feet sticking up out of the basket. Oh, your feet's too big. Don't want you 'cause your feet's too big. Mad at you 'cause your feet's too big. I really hate you 'cause your feet's too big. Your pedal extremities truly are colossal. One never knows, do one.